Welcome to the battlefield of brains, where strategy meets chaos and every move burns with intensity. Watch grandmasters clash, pieces fall, and legends rise. Elshan opens with pawn to d4, boldly claiming the center. It's a standard start, but his eyes scream, "I'm here to fight, not to draw." Wesley So calmly replies with d5, the classic equalizer. He's saying, "You take the center? I'll take it too." The war drums begin. White pushes c4, aiming to crack open the middle early. It's the queen's gambit, elegant, but dangerous if misplayed. Wesley answers with chicks, turning it into the Slav defense, solid, stubborn, like a fortress refusing to fall. Knight to c3. Elshan reinforces his center. The board now feels like a tense staring contest before the first punch. Wesley develops his knight to f6, striking back at the d4 pawn and announcing, "No freebies here, my friend." Elshan trades on d5, cx5. The center explodes open, pawns clashing like soldiers in the first skirmish. Wesley recaptures with cx5, restoring balance but giving Elshan a small lead in development. Calm before the next storm. Bishop to f4, Elshan brings his sniper into position. That bishop eyes the c7 square, ready to cause headaches later. Wesley develops knight to chicks, piling pressure on d4, a subtle counterattack forming in the shadows. White plays e3, steady and disciplined. Elshan keeps things flexible, preparing to castle and free his dark bishop, but Wesley responds with a6, a mysterious pawn move, but it prevents any knight jumps to b5 and prepares b5 later. Smart, Bishop to d3, Elshan positions his artillery for a kingside assault. You can feel the tension building, like a drawn bow. Wesley develops bishop to g4, pinning the knight, aiming straight at Elshan's queen. The first trap of the game is set. White's knight jumps to e2, breaking the pin and keeping harmony. Elshan's playing safe, maybe too safe. Wesley strikes back with e6, securing his pawn chain. Black's position looks like a fortress, no cracks yet. Rook to cone. Elshan eyes the open file, preparing heavy artillery for battle. The crowd senses fireworks incoming. Wesley castles kingside, finally bringing his king to safety. The armies are now fully mobilized. Elshan's knight goes to f4, an ambitious sidestep, eyeing the juicy c5 square. Risky but creative. Wesley mirrors the move, knight to 7, tightening the defense and quietly preparing to strike back in the center. Pawn to a3 from Elshan, a slow move, maybe a misstep. The tempo drops, but perhaps he's planning b4 next. Wesley advances e5. A bold central break. Pure Wesley So style, challenging everything white built. Pawn takes on f5, d5. Elshan bites, but this opens lines for Wesley's pieces to come alive. Knight captures on f5, and c5. Wesley recaptures with tempo. Suddenly, his pieces are more active than ever. Pawn to f3, Elshan tries to push the knight away, but this move weakens his dark squares, a risky decision brewing trouble. Wesley calmly plays b6, developing smoothly but with menace. His bishop locks on to that diagonal like a sniper lining up the white king. Elshan's knight leaps to d4, showing confidence again. He wants activity, but the position's starting to feel like walking on thin ice. Wesley trades without hesitation. X4, slicing right through the middle, forcing Elshan to recapture and loosen his control. The white bishop takes back, beaks f5, keeping balance but opening new lanes for Wesley's attack. Ng checks. Wesley's knight jumps into the fray, adding fuel to his counterplay. It's not defense anymore, it's preparation for a strike. Elshan retreats his bishop to f4, a safe square, but his earlier firepower is cooling down fast. Wesley drops his rook to c8, seizing the open file like claiming a high tower for his archers. Elshan pushes b4, trying to gain space on the queen side. Bold, but maybe too optimistic. Wesley responds with bd6, pointing straight at the white king's fortress. The air feels charged. Danger is near. Bishop captures bx d6. Elshan trades to relieve the tension, hoping to slow Wesley's growing momentum. Wesley recaptures qsd6, and now his queen stands proudly in the center, ready to command the board. Elshan's knight slides to c5, stabbing the black queen. It's sharp, but Wesley's grin says, "I saw that coming." Wesley calmly steps his rook to rc7, sidestepping the threat and doubling down on the c-file control. White's queen jumps to qc2, reinforcing c5 and eyeing the king side for future chaos. Wesley brings in f5, his knight finding a perfect square, centralized, active, dangerous. Elshan sacrifices material with bx-s7. Hero with Turin, c7. A shocking move, a classic Greek gift sacrifice. The crowd gasps. Wesley, unfazed, plays kite, dodging the check. The position's on fire now, but so remains ice cold. White shoves f4, attacking the knight. Elshan's going all in, trying to blow open the center before So's counterpunch lands. Wesley counters with h4, instead of retreating. The knight snarls at f2, turning defense into offense instantly. Elshan slides the queen to q2, trying to guard everything. But cracks are showing. This defense looks shaky. Wesley develops b8, calmly reorganizing his pieces for a deadly regroup. It's the kind of move only a confident predator makes. White's bishop retreats to b1, protecting home turf. But it feels passive, like a warrior hiding behind his shield. Wesley places his rook on re8, bringing more muscle to the center. His coordination is picture perfect now. Knight takes, next b7. Elshan grabs a pawn. But, wait, that might be a poisoned one. Wesley instantly replies, rxbd7, punishing the greedy knight and reopening the A-file for future mayhem. White trades rooks, rx8, hoping to neutralize the pressure, but he's just feeding the beast. Wesley snaps back rx8, keeping total control of the C-file. His rooks now dominate the skies. Queen takes h4. Elshan picks up a pawn on g4 to breathe again, but Wesley's army is far from done. Wesley calmly plays q6, sliding the queen into perfect position, a silent move, but one that oozes confidence. He's setting up something deadly. Elshan pulls his bishop back to bf5, guarding weak squares and eyeing counterplay, but the pressure is now on his side of the board. Wesley strikes, qx3, Mondale, Happiness Saint Fuel. A vicious check, slicing into White's camp like a blade through armor. Elshan moves corner, ducking the blow, but his king now looks lonely and exposed. Wesley pushes his rook to re8, calmly doubling pressure on the e-file. Every piece now points toward Elshan's fragile king. Elshan tries qh4, fishing for checks, hoping Wesley blunders. Spoiler, Wesley doesn't blunder. Wesley slides gate, brushing off the attack like a mosquito bite. White keeps hammering with qs7, desperate to keep the fire alive, but his threats are fading fast. Wesley steps to k5, marching his king forward, fearless, confident, completely in control. Elshan checks again with q8, trying to pull the king into danger, but Wesley's calculation is razor sharp. g7, says Wesley, walking straight into the open, yet somehow safer than ever. The crowd can't believe this king's bravery. Elshan snatches a pawn with qe7, but it's like stealing candy from a tiger, not a good idea. Wesley drops his rook to rb6, bringing reinforcements. The black rooks are circling like vultures now. Elshan pushes h3, giving his king a little breathing room, but it also weakens his defenses. Wesley calmly responds rch6, doubling rooks on the open file. Perfect coordination. On Elshan tucks his king on kh2, still nervous, hiding in the corner like a fugitive. Wesley centralizes with qc3, a menacing multi-purpose move, threatening both sides at once. White counters with qg5, one more hopeful check, but it's doing nothing except buying time. Wesley shields with qf6. Solid and smug. Check all you want, I'm not going anywhere. AD. Elshan fires. qg4. Maybe dreaming of trading queens, maybe just praying for mercy. Wesley brings his rook into full command, ardit, doubling power, and sealing the position. Elshan tries Reone, tossing a check to distract Wesley's focus, but it's a pebble against the tank. Wesley calmly shifts kite, neutralizing the check without flinching. White develops bd3, his bishop joining the defense line, late to the party, but better than never. Wesley answers, re6, defending and preparing the final assault. His coordination now looks machine-like. Elshan plays Ardon, reinforcing the last wall between survival and total collapse. Wesley pushes d4, an explosive pawn break. The entire center erupts. This is the hammer blow he's been preparing. Elshan counters on the wing with a4, trying to distract Wesley, but come on, this is Wesley So. He won't be fooled that easily. Wesley pushes d4, detonating the center like dropping a grenade. The board explodes with tension. War truly begins. Elshan strikes back with a4, opening a counterfront. If I burn, you burn with me, he growls. Wesley's knight jumps to e3, a steel spear through White's heart. That horse is out for blood. Elshan slides qa2, his queen rushing to plug the hole, but the wall's already cracked. Wesley lifts Raccoon. The rook thunders down the fire like a siege cannon locking on. Elshan retreats qd2, trying to repair the fortress, but the leaks are everywhere. Wesley thrusts in c4, the knight cutting deep like a dagger. Elshan's camp shakes. Elshan answers, qf22, clinging to dear life as the Black Army closes in. Wesley advances a5, expanding the empire. His pawns march like tanks. Elshan fires a4, countering with defiance, a last roar before collapse. Wesley's qs5 aims downfield, the queen's gaze slicing like a laser. Elshan dodges with q4, dancing on thin ice, every move a survival gamble. Wesley returns qc4, locking her down, precision like a sniper in fog. Elshan moves qd3, guarding weak spots. The king's nerves are showing. Wesley drives a4, another crushing step forward. The wave won't stop. Elshan snaps big-4, desperate to slow the advance, but it only buys seconds. Wesley's arc-4 crashes through. The rook storms in like a battering ram. Elshan defends with Arbonne, but it's too late. The wolves are already inside. Wesley calmly places qs5, tightening the noose, silent and merciless. Elshan plays h3, a timid breath amid the chaos. The end feels close. Wesley brings r8, uniting both rooks, two black cannons ready to fire. Elshan braces with Raune, one final shield trembling under pressure. Wesley connects qd5, forming a perfect strike line. The execution setup is ready. Elshan steps cut-wu, tucking the king away before the storm hits. Wesley smashes a3. The wall explodes, pure destruction on the queen's side. Elshan swings c5, a desperate counterpunch, searching for air. Wesley coolly plays q6, ice-cold precision. Every move a dagger. Elshan drops k4, grasping for control, but he's only delaying fate. Wesley pushes, at2, unstoppable. The pawn glows with power, one step from glory. Elshan blocks with b3, building his last wall, but the cracks are everywhere. Wesley swings right, sharpening the blade. That rook turns executioner, standing tall over the battlefield. Elshan fires back with qh4, his queen trembling but still screaming defiance. I'm not done yet. In the ball. Wesley's qg7 takes aim from the skies, locking on to the white king like a hunter's drone. Elshan pulls qa6, throwing himself in front of the fire, a queen shielding her king from doom. Wesley mirrors with qh6, cold and precise. Two queens stare down like duelists loading pistols. Elshan slips qg4, circling for a miracle, but the traps are closing in fast. Wesley raises rf6, the rook climbs like a sniper to higher ground. The tension cuts through the air. Elshan pushes ef5, the bishop finally enters, a priest on a doomed mission. Wesley drops d8, both rooks ready, two loaded cannons aimed at the same heart. Elshan's qh4 repeats the motion, pleading for air, but there's no mercy in Wesley's eyes. Wesley returns qah6, his patience terrifying. I can do this all day, he seems to say. Elshan dots qg4, running the same path. A soldier lost in the smoke. Wesley, calmly qag7, tightening the circle, the lion toys with its prey. Elshan repeats qh4, another desperate loop, his army shrinking by the second. Wesley's re8, clean, methodical, every piece exactly where it must be. Elshan throws qh5, a small spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, a slip? Wesley's re3 crushes that dream. The rook dives deep like a dagger to the ribs. Elshan's rx3, forced capture, one last act of bravery. Wesley's dx3. The pawn recaptures and transforms into a monster. A new weapon is born. Elshan drops qf3, clutching the board with trembling hands. That pawn on e3 looks nuclear. Wesley slides qh6, cool as ice, deadly as poison. The Black Army breathes victory. Elshan lungs g4, a desperate attempt to shake the storm, but he just opens new wounds. Wesley answers et2, unstoppable much. That pawn screams toward promotion. Elshan checks q8, hoping to buy a second. Notice me. He cries into the chaos. Wesley steps kg7, calm as a general walking through smoke, zero fear, zero doubt. Elshan pushes g5, his last grenade, praying for an explosion. Wesley promotes a on aq. A second black queen appears. Double royalty, double doom. Elshan captures gxx. A dying blow, a final roar in the dark, Ganeti. Wesley's Aratesha 6 ends it clean. The rook silences the board, black flags flying over the ruins. Elshan throws qg tauant. One last spark of life. The queen fires a desperate flare across the sky. Wesley calmly steps cat7, brushing off the check like dust on armor. Elshan's qct2 circles around, trying to find a miracle path, but every square feels like a cage. Wesley pushes rxt3. The rook storms forward like thunder, no mercy, no hesitation. Elshan flees kjt2, cornered but still breathing, his king dancing on the edge of a blade. Wesley's qg6 rains down from above, black's airstrike hits hard. Elshan blocks kf one, gasping for air, the board now a burning wasteland. Wesley's roan, a brutal stab. The rook commands the final march. Elshan forced Ketu, stumbling under fire. He can't run forever. Wesley drops qxec2, clean and lethal. The white queen vanishes, leaving silence. Elshan replies kc3, taking what he can, but it's too little, too late. Wesley's reorder, that rook still roaring, execution mode engaged. Elshan tries kf2, dodging bullets, every move now a heartbeat away from collapse. Wesley calmly q5, the queen joins in, perfect coordination, predator and executioner aligned. Elshan steps kj3, exhausted, hunted, alone. Wesley lands v38, unrelenting pressure, the rook slicing like a blade through smoke. Elshan falls kjto one square at a time. No army left to call upon. Wesley's qf3 chi. Another hit, surgical and clean. Elshan shifts, kp2, shaking. A king stripped of all dignity. Wesley answers, rit-wum, mechanical precision, check after check, like clockwork death. Elshan runs kagone, praying for stalemate, but that hope is fantasy. Wesley's qg2 hash, the queen lands the killing blow, checkmate, final, absolute. Silence falls. The crowd can't believe it. 168 plies of pure tension, every move a bullet. Elshan fought like a lion, but Wesley, he played like a machine programmed for dominance. From a chaotic Sicilian to a surgical finish, this was art on 64 squares. One man's collapse, another's masterpiece. Game over. Wesley So stands victorious, cold steel still gleaming under the lights. I'll end the video here. Please, give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll keep finding the best and newest videos to share with you. Thank you so much, and I wish you all happiness and good health. interstitial.